Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of Let's Play Battlefield Vietnam. Following our triumph in the La Drang Valley, the Americans have yet to give up. 3 days later, now it's the 17th of November 1965, and the Americans of the 2nd Battalion of the 7th Cavalry are continuing to fight. This time they're attempting to secure the so-called Landing Zone Albany. And since we've confounded their efforts before, I'm rather confident in our ability to do the very same now. That's why I'm going into this battle shirtless. Hopefully it won't be much of a burden. Hopefully we should be able to capture these bases and to starve the Americans out. Although, knowing the pattern that things have taken so far, they might just say fuck it and come in with their heavy weaponry. And I fear that, I really do. Because there they are, first contact, they're coming in on their jeeps, and I'm already starting to shiver a bit. But nonetheless, we'll defeat them. They're coming in with rockets by the dozen, but we've inflicted some heavy casualties in our first skirmish. 3 of them are already dead, we'll bring that up to 4, 5, 6, 7... No. Confound it. Putting on my shirt because this looks pretty fucking serious. We can't allow them to make it any further. If they capture this base, we'll be extremely vulnerable. So here we are. The skirmish continues, the Americans continue to fall. They're ready to take some seriously heavy casualties though from what I've witnessed so far. No regard for human life. I guess that's what happens when you send hundreds of thousands of men to conquer and impose imperialist will on a third world country, but that's none of my business. My business is to kill them. And I'm more than glad when the Americans serve them up right here on a plate. I've got to send my regards to the American High Command. Their flank attack is failing, but not for long. We've got to counter it now or never. So here we are, back up in the hills, over the hill and round the bend we shall march to fight Americans to the end. War poetry at its finest. Unfortunately we'll be needing more than war poetry if we want to win this battle. We're dealing heavy casualties and that's a good beginning though. Although in contrast with the last battle, the Americans have a very slight disadvantage compared to usual. So we'll need to hold the line, or else we will be put at a disadvantage. The Americans are attempting to concentrate their forces down here using that rocket jeep. If we could capture that, we can deal some heavy casualties with it. I'm sure about it. But first we need to evade the American fire because they're continuing to attack en masse. And they're gaining ground. That's what scares me most. We've got to hug the trees for safety at this point. Because the Americans are continuing to rocket their way into battle. But 2 can play at this game. Of this you can be sure. So how's about this? Fuck. Alrighty then. Let's recalibrate our tactics because the Americans are not afraid to attack us. We need some vehicles, we need some armor, we need some firepower. But first of all, we need to make sure that we're going to hold onto this base. Because if things don't get under control soon, the Americans are going to knock out our vehicles and capture the ones that remain. We've got to take control of this jeep first at the very, very least. So here we go. Getting our comrade to follow us into battle, and we're going to run over some Americans if we can. Nobody on the machine gun yet, but that's going to change really soon, trust me. There we go, 1 American down already and we don't even need a machine gun. But let's do it just for the fun. We don't need the machine gun, but we might as well use the damn thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't as beneficial as I expected. The American offensive continues, and they're threatening to capture our bases. This isn't especially nice as a situation. It really is not. So I'm going to default back to my trusty AK-47. Really, every single bullet I fire out of it is a miracle. Just waiting to happen. See? There's one. Another one. We've got to keep firing though. Really, we cannot afford to stop. The Americans are capturing our bases. Bad news. Very bad news indeed. We're losing ground. And I am not glad about it. On the other hand, our armored vehicles are attacking the American base camp. We're on the verge of encircling them if we can pull this off correctly. The one problem is that I'm not too confident in our tactical abilities. We've shown ourselves to be retarded quite a few times, and I'm not confident that we can change that immediately. So I'm not going to take my chances. Instead, I'm going to lend a hand to giving these Americans help. And the best way to do that is via burst fire. So let's go on a beautiful little Vietnamese hiking trip. Get a bit of relief from all this fighting. I'm quite sick of getting bullets lodged into my body, that's quite sure. Well, duty calls unfortunately, so let's end the hiking trip there for a moment, place on a brief hiatus, throw a few grenades to break these American columns up. And continue our counterattack. Because there's little other option. Perhaps we should try and gain control of one of these vehicles. In fact, that's what I'll do, because the Americans are capturing another base. This is not good. We need to guarantee our supremacy. Because the Americans are slowly but surely whittling it away. Our advantage is great, but their strength is also great, and we need to counter it. Let's go into battle, manning the machine gun, with our comrade here ready to fight. Ban Shen Hui. He can do this for us. Come on, you're the best driver I've had so far. You're the only driver I've had so far. Do this for fuck's sake. Come on, get over the hill and commence the attack. That's all you have to do. Let's pull off a lovely little East Asian drive-by and confront the Americans where it really hurts. Slightly less successful than I expected, but we can change that. We can turn things around. Don't you worry. Don't worry a single bit. We have the power. And we have the rockets too. That is a very welcome change if you ask me. That's one down, 71 to go. Alright, that was unintentional. My bad, sorry about that. But let's do this, let's go into battle. No idea where the fuck this guy is going. But he's going somewhere, and that's better than nowhere. Hopefully. He's back on the road, this is a beginning. Come on, we can do this, we can do this. A GPS would be useful right now. Ah, screw it. We can do more than this. We're better than this. Meanwhile, we've driven the Americans out of this outpost as well. They're truly desperate at this point, and I'm glad to see it. Now let's stop this jeep in its tracks. We need to keep them down, because this firepower could be enough to capture a base if they do it properly. But I'm not letting them do that. There we go. I would have captured the jeep, but sadly, I wasn't able to. They've captured another base though. They've continued their assault against us, and I am not glad. But we have the advantage, and all we have to do now is charge one more time into the thick of the battle. Go on then, come on, come at me. You can do this. I believe in you. President LBJ believes in you. Only you don't believe in yourselves. Come on, work up the courage, work up the self-confidence, the self-esteem to come in here and challenge us. Because I'd be glad to take it right back down again the second you do. Come on, get over here. Don't be scared, don't be shy. Just because we're an exotic culture doesn't mean that you have to stay away from us. Instead, I'm going to give you some 7.62mm cultural enrichment. The way we do it in Vietnam. Because although the Americans have captured a string of bases, they have exhausted their manpower to the point where they are completely unable to hold them. And Landing Zone Albany will be a failure, just as Landing Zone X-Ray was a few weeks earlier. It's open war now, and I'm down for it. So let's finish things off and put an end to today's battle the way every battle should be ended, with a major Vietnamese victory. We have decimated the Americans, driving them out of the La Drang Valley area for good. We have prevented their landing zones being consolidated, and we have made sure that our campaign for Vietnamese liberation continues to march forward triumphantly. If you want to show solidarity with the Great Campaign and perhaps even get a free Ho Chi Minh badge, disclaimer, there isn't any, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. I've been the Nerd Gamer, thank you very, very much for watching, and goodbye for today.